All right, let's solve the today Leetcode question. So today Leetcode question is a median and it's a minimum operation to convert all elements to zero. So we're given an array of size n. So that means we have only one parameter, which is a numbers array in non-negative integer. That means all the numbers are positive integer. And then our task is to apply the sum operation on the array so that all elements become zero. And this is quite similar to the problem from yesterday, which is similar to two clots. So in one operation, we can select the subarray, which is I into j. That means we can create that subarray by any of the number that we want within that range of the array. So we have to set the occurrence of the minimum non-negative integers into the subarray to 0. So what we need to do is we need to return the minimum number of operations that require to match elements in an array. Let's try to understand the problem. So in the example 1, what we have received is the input parameters, which is a numbers array, and then we are receiving the two numbers in array, which is 0 and 2. So since 0 is already 0, so we just choose the subarray of from 1 to 1, that is index 1, and then we make that 2 convert to 0. So this is why the operation is 1, and then the results goes there. So for the example 2, in here we can choose an array like this, or we can choose, I think that is the best approach. The reason why I was choosing like from index 1 to 3 is since we select the subarray from index 1 to 3, which is a 1 to 1 in here, and then where the minimum non-negative integer is 1. So setting all occurrence of 1 to 0, which will be resulting in 0 to 0. So since we convert all 1 into 0, so we receive in like 3, 0 to 0. And then we only can choose the subarray of 2 into 2. This is one thing that is hidden in the question. After we convert the sum of the elements in the numbers to 0, we are not supposed to create a subarray that include the zeros in our subarray. So that is the reason we have to choose like subarray of 2 is to 2, which is this index only. So this is a 1 operation that we convert the 2 into the 0. This is a 1 operation, and then we convert the 3 into the 0, which is the 1 operation. So total is a 1, 2, 3, then the result is 3, and then upwards goes there. After that, for the example 3, since we have a range of the same number of 3 ones and 2 1, triple 1 and triple 2. So what we can do is we can choose whatever we like from 0 to 5. Then we convert like all 1 to 0, so which will make us 0 to 0 to 0 to 0. Since this is already a 0 in between of the twos, so we cannot choose the subarray like 2 numbers for sure. So we only choose the subarray for like 1 1, next is 2 2 in here, and then 0 1 1 2 2 3 3, and then 5 5. So which result like 1 2 3 4 operation, and then the answers goes there. I think for this kind of problem, we can just iterate through and we can keep the possible numbers in the something like stack. All right, let's try to write a little bit of the code so we can spread and see how it's work. So let's call like a temporary number. I will just call it as an integer. And there is literally a stack. We will just put the number on there, and then we compare it. If it's not same, we'll move it, and then we increment the result variable, which is initially 0. So for next step is we want to iterate through from nums and number. So what we are going to do is we will check like temporary numbers of less a6. Maybe we use a while let. If number is really a6, what we can do is we check like less number of the temporary numbers is greater than the num. If yes, what we need to do is we will remove the less from our temporary numbers. So the reason to remove that thing is, okay, this won't happen on the first iteration. So I would say like this is a base case where we need to check. So I will just write like this for a moment. That's called remove less. And then what we are going to do is we'll check like if number is greater than 0, since we are iterating through. And then there also possible is the number inside the array could be 0. That means we need to check if it is 0 or not. If it should be greater than 0. If not, we don't need to consider anymore. If greater than 0 and our temporary numbers is empty, and next is there will be a chance type, since we are entering for the first time, and then we're not in the while let case since there's no number for the base case, and then we check like temporary numbers of less item is not equal to the num. That means we're literally checking two conditions. One is if the temporary numbers is true and then the number is greater than 0. We just want to make sure our very first index in the array is not 0. What we're going to do is we're gonna append the result into 1, and then we put the temporary numbers with our number where we iterate through. After that, we return the result. Okay, if I have to dry run, let's make a dry run. The reason why I don't use the separate in here, even though they keep mentioning like separate. Let's dry run through it. Let's consider that we have array of 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. 6 number. So the temporary numbers is totally empty. The result is empty. So we can iterate through from 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, and 2. So now we are in the number of 1. So we're gonna check the numerator less is a6 or not. If not, what do? We skipped it, the next step. And then we will check a number is greater than 0. Yes, and then temporary number is empty. Yes, what do? We append the result with the 1. And then we append our temporary numbers of 1 in here, and then we move from index of 1 to 2. This time we have a less number, which is 1. And then we need to check like 1 is greater than 2. False, we don't need to remove it. We come through it, and we will double check like the number 2 is greater than 0, correct? And then the temporary number is not empty. Then what do we check? We check the less item. Less item is 1, so 1 is not equal to 2. Then we append the result. Then the result became 2. And then we also append our first index of the array, which is 2. And then we come through it again here. Now the index is in the 1. Here is where the really interesting things come in. We're going to check like the temporary number of less, which is 2. Then we compare like less is 2 for sure. And then the number is 1. That's correct. If our current index is lower than the previous index, we're gonna remove that index less item from the array. And we just remove it. And then come again, we will check like the temporary number of less is 1. And then we compare like less is 1, num is 1, which is false. So we go through it. And then number is greater than 1, 0, that's correct. And then it's not empty. That is really where I want to compete. Since we removed the 2 from our temporary numbers, and then we check the condition like 1 is greater than 0 and temporary number is empty, which is false. And then we check the temporary number of less item, which is 1 at the moment. And then we check the number is also 1. So 1 not equal to 1 is false, so we are not going through it. That means that we don't want to append the same numbers again with our temporary numbers. So currently the result is 2. So now let's jump to the index of 2. And then we check again. So to check to now the temporary number of the less index is 1. We will compare like 1 is greater than 2, so we don't need to remove it. After that, we enter here, which is 2. So 2 is greater than 0 and less item, which is 1, is not equal to 2. Then we're gonna append the result into 1, which is 3, and then we're gonna also append the index 2 in here. After that, we go through it. Now the index will move from 2 to 1. So 1, we check again, less index is 2, and then less index greater than num, so which is correct. We're gonna remove the less index of temporary array, which is 2. And then we check again. So now the temporary number of less is 1. So 1 greater than 1 is false. We don't need to enter through it. Then we double check. Like 1 is greater than 0 and temporary array is empty, which is 4. And then we double check. Our temporary numbers dot less is 1. And now our number is also 1, which is false. And then we move to the last part. So if we move to the last part, which is a 2. So if it's a 2, we double check that the number of less is 1. Then we compare like less is 1 and then the num is 2, which is false. So we are not entering this condition. And then we will check like 2 is greater than 0. And we will check like temporary number is empty, is false. Then we even check again. The less item 1 is not equal to 2. What do? We append the result to 1, 4, and then we append the number to 2. So that is the asymmetry of the asymmetry where I dry run through. Then let's see if it works. Oh wait, what did I do wrong? Oh, I think I cannot have a parameter like this in here. Let's try again. Let me think what I do wrong. Oh, I should create a variable in here. So it's past the base case and let's try to submit it. I think I can calculate the time complexity and space complexity in here since we don't use extra memory or extra space. The space complexity with the O of n. And then for the time complexity, we only iterate through the given numbers. So that will be the O of n. Alright. Let's check how many people solved the problem today. Right? Because this is a median, it's a kind of like easy median. Then 2,500 people online. Right? That's all for you for today and see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye.